Joining me now is criminal defense attorney Arthur Aidala, CNN anchor and chief legal analyst Laura Coates, who's at the courthouse today throughout the trial as well, CNN senior legal analyst Elie Honig, and jury consultant Tuerkheimer. Laura, to you, what does this partial verdict signal?
It signals that this is a sleepless night for Sean Diddy Combs and the entire prosecution team as well. This was the most serious charge that they wanted to get him on. It carries potentially life in prison, but it also was the most complex. I mean, that verdict form not only required them to find guilt or innocence when it came to the RICO, but they had to go through the kind of mini trials of these so-called predicate crimes. It included kidnapping. Did we prove it or not? They had to check these boxes. When it came to bribery, arson, witness tampering, it went down the line. And so this prosecution team had to have a series of sort of mini trials to prove each of these. So to have this be the one they're hung on, and that there is overlapping charges for sex trafficking and prostitution, it doesn't bode well in terms of them being able to accomplish their ultimate mission of a complete conviction. But also, if you're the defense team, it says to me, I'm not quite sure what combination is possible. Could it be a full acquittal on everything? Could it be you found me guilty on some charges, the least of them, maybe prostitution, and others you did not? It is really, really impactful.
I mean, Elie, again, we don't know what they have decided on these other charges, but it would be hard to imagine a world where they found him not guilty on RICO and not guilty on everything else.
Right, so all the qualifiers first, right? Juries are unpredictable, they're humans, they're illogical at times, but let me tell you the conversation that's being had right now in the prosecution room as they're trying to figure out what this could mean. We know two things. We know there is a unanimous verdict on each of counts 2 through 5. Guilty or not guilty, we don't know, but we know there's unanimity. We also know there's a split as to count 1. That means at least one juror, it sounds like 2 because they use the plural in their note, at least 2 jurors say he's guilty on RICO, at least 2 jurors say he's not guilty.
And that's
on RICO.
The bigger charge, the more all-encompassing.
That's number one, that's the bigger charge, that's the whole enterprise, that's the most important charge. How could it be that somebody says, yes, I think he's guilty of RICO, and 2 people at least on the jury think that, but not guilty of all the others? That's almost impossible. On the flip side, it could well be that somebody says, well, I think he's not guilty of RICO, but I still think he's guilty of all the others because they failed to make the showings that Laura was talking about. So if I'm the prosecution, again, all the qualifiers, I feel pretty good right now. If I'm the defense, I'm kind of nervous.
Arthur,
Well,
you've had a case, though, where you were the defense where this happened, essentially.
Yeah, 2.5 weeks ago in the Harvey Weinstein trial, the biggest difference was in the Harvey Weinstein trial, the judge asked them after their 5th day of deliberations, have you reached a verdict on anything? Because the notes kept coming. This jury volunteered after only 2 days, literally like a day and a half. You know, we've reached a partial verdict. So that's a big difference there. I think the prosecutors here were a little greedy. If I was the prosecutor in this case and there's these verdicts and I'm feeling as confident as I think they have a right to feel, I would take it because, Anderson, it's a misnomer. There has not been a verdict in the Puffy Combs case. They could go home tonight and one of those jurors, 5 of those jurors, can change their mind. There's no official verdict. They can come in and be like, I slept on it. You know what? I'm changing my mind. And all of a sudden, there's that victory and it's ripped away and now it's a defeat.
Laura,
here's why I don't agree that it's impossible that he could be found not guilty of everything.
It is impossible.
No, I know. Oh, I know. I get the qualifiers, but listen. The RICO charge allows you to find someone guilty if there is a pattern of the racketeering activity. It could be kidnapping or arson or bribery. They could find that there was no sex trafficking, and yet they could say, well, you know what, I find sex trafficking with respect to one of the victims, Jane or Cassie Ventura, but not the other, and there's not a pattern yet. They could also think to themselves, because they don't find a pattern of these 2 crimes, I might think that the other ones they haven't proven as well. I open this up just to suggest that the complexity of a RICO charge, that's normally for something like the mob, you know this quite well. You know this quite well. The idea that you would have this sort of thing opens up the possibility that jurors can get confused. They tried to streamline it. They tried to say, you only have to find one example of X, Y, or Z. At the end of the day, these jurors are learning this in real time, and they may not have made their case.
I want to bring in Alan. Alan, how do these conversations normally play out in the deliberation room?
With time, I think what's happening is this is the more complex charge. And look, it's not necessarily a discordant jury. They're 80% of the way there, it looks like at this point, 4 of the 5 counts. So what's happening now is jurors try to come up with other arguments, other angles, other ways to persuade fellow jurors to come around to their point of view. And when that's not successful, there's usually one of two ways when the jury comes back and says, we're done here, we can't move anything forward. That's when old arguments get recycled or rehashed and it doesn't land. Or a juror says, you know what, this is what I feel. Nothing you guys say is going to change my mind. I'm sticking with it. That's when there's an impasse, and we're not there yet. It seemed like maybe they were heading in that direction, and maybe they still will, but there's still time to revisit different arguments and try to persuade others. A lot of it depends on the alliances in the jury and the personalities and how strongly held some of these beliefs are about the RICO charges.
So, Elie, if there is somebody who just says, look, this is it, and there's no agreement on the RICO charge, did they deliver the verdict on the others?
So, yes, if the jury ends up hanging on the RICO charge, and one of two things is going to happen tomorrow, by the way. We're going to get a note at some point, and the jury's either going to say, okay, Judge, we talked further, and we've actually now reached unanimity on count one, so we have verdicts on all five. Great, come out and give the verdict. The other option is the jury sends an even more exasperated note out, which happens, and they'll say, we've tried, we're still stuck. The judge may give them one more instruction to try again, but eventually, and I think this will happen tomorrow, if they cannot reach agreement, the judge will say, fine, you are hung as to count one, and I'm going to take the partial verdict on the remaining.
But Elie, there is a third option. They could just keep working. It's happened before. They could just spend the whole day, and what we just heard, they're going back, they're rehashing their arguments and seeing if they can make different points of view and see if they can reach a verdict. Look, they feel the pressure. Jurors who are on it's a 2-month trial. May 5th, this trial started, right? It'll be July 3rd, on Thursday. They know the press, they know the families. The judge tells them, if you don't reach this verdict, there's going to be 12 other people who are going to have to do this. So they may go in there and continue to work. And what Laura said is right on. The RICO count was for organized crime, where the enterprise is only for the purpose of crime, criminality. Here, Sean's companies were doing clothing and music and alcohol. And then, they were doing some crimes as well. So it's not as easy as the other counts to reach a verdict on.
And Laura, if the RICO charge is off, but he's convicted on the others, what kind of time is he facing?
Well, they're all serious charges. You're talking about 15 years for sex trafficking. You're talking about 10 years possibly for prostitution. These could run consecutively as well, because these are different incidents at different points in time. This is a lot of time for somebody over the age of 50 as well. I should say, it might be counterintuitive to people. Why would the defense want them to keep going? Isn't the hung jury kind of like a win? Well, no, because we know double jeopardy normally attaches when the trial has started. And you cannot try someone twice for the same crime. But if there's a hung jury, there's still the invitation to keep prosecuting this person. They want finality here. But when you look at all the grand scheme of things, RICO is also difficult in this case because they did not call the alleged co-conspirators to testify. Now, you can try someone on conspiracy with just one defendant. That's possible. But they have to be wondering, if you're the prosecution team, should I have tried to call more witnesses on that particular point? They were available to both. They said that. But it's the prosecution's job to prove guilt, not the defendant's to prove innocence.
Alan, how likely do you think it is that this looming, 4th of July holiday is going to be a motivating factor for the jury to reach an agreement on that remaining charge?
Well, certainly this is an accomplished jury. They look at their careers and what they do for jobs. It's not like they have nothing better to do. So there is going to be some pressure. And what's going to happen is, I think if we're here tomorrow talking about the same thing, that it's going to play into the pressure to get it resolved. But right now, I still think they're focused on what they need to do to try to be unanimous on the RICO charge. But again, 24 hours from now, if they're still deadlocked, I'm not sure. I don't think that's going to happen. But if they are, then it really is hard to be in a position where you're keeping somebody else from doing something. And so, yes, with the July 4th weekend looming, the 3rd being Thursday, it's on the radar. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks to our panel. Appreciate